Hey, Sean, thanks for taking some time to talk to my class today. So why don't we just go ahead and start with you introducing yourself?
Of course, yeah. My name is Sean Fitzgerald. I graduated from Rankin back in 2018. Shortly after Rankin, I was offered a job with my current company, Daugherty Business Solutions, and I've been there for about 3 years now.
Awesome. And so did you come to Rankin right out of high school or not?
I did go to SIUE for a year before I joined, or I started to go to Rankin.
Okay.
So it was 2 years after high school.
Okay. Cool. And then, so what did you like about your transition to Rankin? Like, what worked well for about Rankin for you as compared to your, prior school?
Rankin was very hands-on. That was something that I quickly realized once I got into actual university. It was a lot of classes that I'd already taken. There was nothing new. It was like I was actually going for mechanical engineering whenever I went to SIUE the first time, and I was talking to students that were in that major, and they were like, "You're not gonna get any hands-on projects till your final year, till your senior year." And I was like, "I can't do that. I can't take these like gen ed classes for 4 more years, you know." And so I needed something else. I needed a change of pace. I needed something where I could really be doing something and actively working towards what I wanted to accomplish.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your current role, again, with your employer, who's Doherty Business Solutions. What do you do
Of
for them?
course. Yeah. I guess a little backstory for Doherty. So they have this program called Doherty University, and I got talking with Doherty. I think it was my first year at Rankin. We had the job fair. They were there. I started a conversation with them, and they told me, "Hey, it's just your first year. Come back to us next year." So next year, the time came around for the job fair. Talked to them again, and they were like, "Yeah, we have this program called Doherty University. We want you to interview for it." So I got to that process, and what I found out, which is something good for current Rankin students to know, is Doherty kind of puts Rankin at a higher level than people coming in just off LinkedIn. You know what I mean? So we went into that interview realizing that everyone else that were there, because I think there was 5 or 6 people that ended up interviewing at Doherty at the time. We found out that pretty much everyone else that didn't come from Rankin had gone through like a multi-step interview process just to get to that point. So we were kind of put up in the front of the line, which is cool because they know what they're getting from Rankin. So we went through I ended up getting hired, of course. Went through the Doherty University process, which is about 8 weeks of just a crash course. Doherty doing what they could to get you up to speed with, to get up to the standards that they need you to be at for the clients that they have. And so went through that. It was an 8-week program. It was great. I learned a lot during that. It was crazy. But I do have to go back to like that fast-paced learning style that Rankin has, like, was huge for Doherty University, because there was definitely people that were like crashing and burning, and going straight from Rankin to Doherty University, it was like nothing has really changed, you know.
Cool. That's awesome.
Um,
That's good to hear. So you kind of got fast tracked, it sounded like a little bit.
definitely, which is fantastic. Yeah. So my role is a software engineer. I guess my technical role is a software engineer to consultant, something, whatever my job title is. And so I do front end work, back end work. Pretty much my goal for 2021 was to become more of a full stack developer, and that's what I'm working on.
That is so cool, man. So your title is a software engineer too.
That's
You
correct, and
achieved that within 3 years after Rankin.
I flex it all the time too. Anyone that asks, I'm like, because like you could say programmer, but no one really knows. They're like, "Oh, so what do you do?" But if you say software engineer, they're like, "Oh, that's cool."
That is cool. So what else is cool is that dog you got behind you. Who's that?
This is Fletcher.
Fletcher?
He's yeah. He always steals the show whenever I have the camera on.
That's a beautiful dog. So clearly the thing that might be appealing to a lot of our students is that you're working from home. So tell us about how long you've been doing that and what's the future like.
It's been a while. So I think it was probably March of 2020. That's when like the initial
Yeah, when everything shut down.
Yeah, the
That's why we're
initial
all in
like
masks here. Yep.
exactly. The initial email went out. They said, "Hey, everyone's going to work from home. It's just a temporary thing." And at the time, so my current client, we can get into this a little bit later too. My current client is Edward Jones, but my previous client at the time was Express Scripts. So I was working at Express Scripts. They said, "Go home for 2 weeks. Just bring your laptop. No need to bring anything else. We'll see you back in a little bit." Well, that never happened. So we all got sent home, and then it was probably in December when I decided to make a change, to change to a different client, and that's when I switched to Edward Jones. And with Edward Jones, they sent me like everything. They sent me like, it's to my left here, but they sent me like a monitor, a docking station, mouse, keyboard, laptop, everything. It was like the whole setup.
Can you pan and we can see that your home
Yeah,
setup?
definitely. Yeah, for sure. I can take this off here. So this is like my home setup here. So
So obviously multiple monitors.
definitely multiple monitors. Like they made sure I was like all set up. So like back there, that's like my actual laptop. And then this is like my monitor that they gave me that's what I do all my work on. And I can do like realistically you could do all your work on a laptop, but it just makes it so much easier having the option to have multiple screens, so you can just kind of switch back and forth between the screens.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, so going forward, they've been trying to get us back in the offices, but now that everything is going back to the way it was, really, like shutting down again, they are like, you guys are doing great from working from home. And so it really comes down to the company you work for. A lot of companies are transitioning to fully remote, but some companies still want you kind of in office here and there. I mean, maybe it's you're in office for 2 days a week, work from home 3 days a week, but even though COVID is a very terrible thing, it has helped our case for working remote a lot more often.
Yeah. Do you like it?
Working from home?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like realistically, like you could roll out of bed and into your first meeting if you really needed to. Not saying I do, but it's nice just having like just being at your home and just not really having to worry about. Because like realistically, when you're in the office, like no programmer, I don't care what they tell you, no one is coding 8 hours a day. No one is. So it's like kind of having the flexibility to be able to maybe run an errand on your lunch break or just kind of take a little bit longer lunch or whatever is nice, just to give you that like break that you need, because like your mind is just going to become mush if you just are just coding 8 hours
So
a
let's
day.
talk about you name dropped some pretty big companies in St. Louis, right? So Express Scripts was one of the first companies you worked at. So let's back up here. You're a consultant, which means what?
Yeah, so a consulting firm, especially like Doherty, my company, what we do is we work with a bunch of Fortune 500 companies and we say, what issues are you having? Like where are you losing money? Where are you seeing like kind of backup? Like what isn't working for you? And they tell us, and then they'll send a team out there and be like, let's fix that for you. Or do you need any additional help on an application that you're building? And so Doherty will send out a team, usually from the start, if it's like a brand new client. So for example, Edward Jones is my current client. We were working with Edward Jones a few years ago, and things kind of fell through. Well, just recently, just in this, I think it was last year, in 2020, that door was reopened. They were like, hey, we kind of want to get some Doherty people in here again. So I think they initially sent like a team of 5, okay? And you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. You see, there's a tour going on outside, so I might have to pause the recording.
That's
so let
fine.
me go ahead and pause you, Sean.
Okay, that's fine.
Hang tight. Sorry. Okay, so we're back. That's my fault. So continue.
Okay, so so for example, so we sent out a team to Edward Jones, and literally in a year and a half, we've expanded to I think over 200 people now at Edward Jones. So it's kind of crazy. We've expanded so quickly that it's like we get in there, they see the quality of work that Doherty does, and they're like, we want more of that. Send whoever you can. So like we have 200 people at Edward Jones. We have like 100 and something people at Express Scripts. We work with Anheuser-Busch. We work with Centene. We work with, I mean, any big company in St. Louis and around the nation. We probably work for or have worked with at some point in the past.
That's awesome. So you said the fast paced. You said
Mhm.
there's a pretty good learning curve when you first get in. So let's talk
Definitely.
about what are the projects like. Is there a cool project that you've worked on?
Yeah, yeah. I think so. My first, I would say like the most interesting project I worked on was my very first. So Doherty calls them engagements. You're engaged with the client. My very first engagement was with a company called the Climate Corporation, which is a subsidiary of Monsanto, which is now Bayer. So farming company, deal with agriculture. And what they were doing was they were working with a bunch of these like data scientists and these very, very smart people, and they were developing these models to predict rain patterns to predict like what seeds needed to be put in what fields to make like to have the greatest yield, I guess, of crops. And it was insane. It was some crazy, like very high level stuff that like I was not able to comprehend. And it was super cool because it was just like we were developing more of like the back end side of all those things. We weren't dealing with like the data models like that, but just knowing that like you were designing an application to predict rain patterns to then genetically develop a seed to plant in a farmer's farm, insane stuff. And that's just like
That is so cool. I mean, I love it. That is so cool.
exactly. And like the cool thing about it is like working for a company like Doherty and being a consultant is like you're not really stuck in one project. Like I was doing that to start off, and now I'm building a financial application for financial advisors to communicate with their clients to get their best financial priorities. You know, it's like it's all over the place. So it's like you just get such a wide range of experience being a consultant, which is cool.
That is really cool. I'm kind of looking. I just have a couple questions. I'm making sure that I covered. I do have my questions. Um, you got a good memory from Rankin? Do you have a favorite memory of as a student?
Favorite memory from Rankin. I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of Rankin was an experience. I enjoyed Rankin a lot. It was it. I mean, obviously we were there to learn, but I think like one of my best friends, Jack, like I talk to him every day practically, you know, and so I made a lot of great friends there. Had a really cool experience. Had a really great instructor, Mr. Smith. That was his name.
Ah.
Yeah, it was overall a really great experience, and I think like I'm kind of talking from a student's perspective, like the high standards that Rankin holds you at is worth it, you know, because it's like, sure, it feels like high school, sure, you have to be in uniform every day, but that's what you're going to be expected to do in your professional career, you
When
know,
you're
so
not
you
working
better,
from home.
sure, yeah, I'm in a t-shirt and sweats right now, but yeah, like, I mean, if you're in the office and just kind of like being held to that higher standard stands out to employers for sure.
Can you list some of the languages that you've used in your professional career? We don't have to go
Yes,
deep, but just list them in the list format.
yes. For sure, yeah. So starting off, the main one was Scala. Scala, I actually had to look it up because it's been a while, and I was like, realistically, whenever I was using it, I didn't really know what I was doing. But Scala is an object-oriented and functional programming language. So it's kind of like Java, but not Java.
Yeah.
It was pretty confusing to learn. Then after that, I did what's called Kotlin, and Kotlin was a simplified version of Java. And that was pretty interesting to use just because it was like all the boilerplate code that you're going to find in Java is just taken out and put into libraries that you just import, and it just makes your life a lot easier. And then currently I am using Java, but I am using, it's a full stack application. So on the front end, we're using React, and that's
Nice.
like a component based front
Nice.
end system. So let's say you have a welcome page. With that will be your page, and then like the buttons and everything on that page will be components.
Yeah, we're actually
Um,
going to be teaching React this semester. So the audience that's in front of you or that's behind you, whatever,
yeah.
is first semester students, so brand new students, and
Okay.
we now introduce React in their first semester.
I think that's a great plan
Yeah.
because React is huge.
Yeah.
Like if there is any time where I don't have much going on, this is a side note, but like with Doherty, if you don't have a client, you get put on what's called the bench, and that you just go back to the Doherty's office, and if there's something that you want to work on, you can. Like Doherty is going to pay for your learning pretty much, and like so if I wanted to go back and learn React, they would allow me to do that. So anytime I was on the bench and I was like, what do you think I should like work on, like focus on? They would say React. Like that's just huge in the market right now.
Nice, nice. Um, what do you think you did as a student to prepare you for success in the real world? What helped you land your position? What helped you be where you are today?
Study.
Okay. Work hard, study.
Definitely work hard, study. Just take it seriously. I just think like there are going to be things that in your career that you're going to be like, oh, I learned that at Rankin, or I've heard about that, or just those standards are set starting at Rankin and then they continue over to your career.
Yeah, it sounds like certainly you're never done learning. I mean, it sounds
Oh
like,
no,
oh, I had no
no,
idea what I was doing here. I had no what I would do, and you just kind of muddle your way through it and get the job done as best you can, and go on and keep learning.
definitely. And I think like one of the biggest thing in you can tell your students not to do this, but I think resources, use your resources. Like it's amazing how every single day, like I come across an issue where some other developer has already solved that issue. So using things like, I don't know if you want to use them to tell them to use Stack Overflow, but like there's so many resources out there that will walk you through the like thinking of other developers, and that it'll help you understand things so much easier. And there's just so many like different things. Like there's Beetledung, whatever it's called. That's just some guy that's like, he loves programming and he's like, I'm gonna help other people learn, and he puts it in like the most simplest form, and it's just like it's so easy to learn. So just use your resources.
YouTuber? I'm not sure who that is.
Let me see. It's he has a website.
And then while you're looking that up, here's my next
Yeah.
question for you.
Yeah.
What would you have done differently as a student?
Not gotten a B in C#.
Not gotten a what?
A B in C#.
Oh.
That was my one downfall. I think about that all the time. I'm like, I got that one B, and it haunts me.
So it sounds like you were a pretty good straight A student otherwise.
I want to say straight A, but
Straight
I mean,
A's and a B.
you got to think that like I was coming off of like, I came from a university, and while I was figuring out what I wanted to do at SIUE, I was like, my life is falling apart. Like I'm hitting my quarter life crisis early. And so I got to Rankin, and I was just like, I'm not messing around, like I know this is what I want to do. I know I want to make a career out of this. So like, sure, I love video games, as you all probably know. And I was just like, I don't want to like be distracted by those things. I just want to like get the 2 years done and move on to my career. Because as soon as you get the 2 years done, your life is going to be a lot better.
Nice. Appreciate it. Okay. Next question, and we'll talk generally about money, not specifics
Yeah.
to you. I'm pretty sure Doherty makes it public what their starting salary is.
Which has actually increased. So I think at the time, whenever I was graduating,
3 years ago.
3 years ago, they were saying entry level was coming in at around 55K, right? Does that sound accurate?
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere around there. Well, now it was very quick after I started that went up to 70K.
The starting salary
of a Rankin grad. Like
of a Rankin
you
grad.
graduate Rankin, go to Doherty University, they will start you at least 70K.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I think, speaking generally, of course, I think like there is someone that went to Rankin, went through Doherty University, working at Doherty that just accepted a position. So like literally at my level, making six figures. So like 3 years out of Rankin, and he's making a solid amount.
3 years out of Rankin, and they're making
Yeah.
six figures?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been out of Rankin a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So it's worth it. Like and like software development is just it's the highest demanding industry currently, just because everything needs software.
Very cool. I'm going to open this up to now. Again, your audience here is brand new students. They've been in this class for 9 days, I think, or 8 days. And so these are brand new first semester
Okay.
students, pretty much brand new to Rankin. So that's your audience. So I'm going to open this up to them and see if
Of
they have
course.
any questions or anything they'd like to ask you. Yeah.
What made you want to get into this program, and how did you hear about it?
So I think originally I heard about Rankin through one of my friends that straight out of high school he decided to go to Rankin. And I knew I always wanted to do something with computers, but I didn't know exactly what. So once I decided to make the change to Rankin, I knew that at the time you guys just kind of had a general, it was operating systems I think it was. So I was like, I want to go into that. And it was actually in that operating systems class with Mr. D that I think it was like a 1 week crash course at that point that it was like, we built like a Harry Potter website or something random like that. But it was all HTML, all CSS, but I was like, this is awesome. Just because I got the results I wanted, like I was able to put something on paper or into into IntelliJ and then see something on the other side. You know, it was like that instant gratification of writing code and then seeing it on a web page. And I thought that was super cool because I could like make it my own. You know, I could create my own stuff. I could put my own spin on it, and that's what I really enjoyed about it.
If you guys ask a question and he can't hear, I'll just repeat it.
And ask me anything, literally, about Rankin, about my job. I'm open to anything.
While they're thinking, I'll try and think of a few as well. Mr. Smith, feel free to chime in. It's always the awkward moment where it's like, who has questions? And everyone's like, oh man, I got to ask a question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite language to work with right now?
Do you have a favorite language to work with right now?
I would say Java, just because I'm currently working in it. You're definitely going to have opportunities to learn a bunch of different languages and stuff while you're working, but I'm more the person that I'm like, I want to focus on learning what I'm working with, you know, just because like I'm not going to spend a lot of time learning Angular if I'm not going to use it in my day-to-day job. So I think Java, just because it's a very powerful language, and you can do a lot with it.
Cool. I think, so here's another one for me. So I think you've already given some advice, but do you have any advice you would give starting students?
I think this is like I'm stealing this from one of my like very first mentors. Sorry about the crazy dog in the background. He's just having a field day back there. One of my first mentors always told me at Doherty, he was like, it was kind of a weird saying, but he was like, the more you put in now, the less you'll bleed at the client, which was kind of like, whoa, why am I bleeding at the client? Like, what do you mean? But it was, it's so true. It's like the more work you're going to put in now about learning the basics and the fundamentals, the less you're going to be stressed when you're in a situation where you don't have the time to learn. You know what I mean? Like,
That's awesome.
Just put in the work now, because later on you're going to be thinking to yourself that you're progressing and impressing these clients instead of the other way around.
It's very much you reap what you sow. Work hard now,
100%.
and you'll benefit with what you sow. That's very
Definitely.
cool. Very cool. Well, this was a little bit longer than anticipated. If no one has any other questions,
Are
One
you
more.
able to work on your own like personal projects with regards to coding, or does the company you work for, do they kind of say anything you code belongs to us type of deal?
did you hear that?
Can I work on my own projects?
Are you allowed to have side projects, or is everything belong to Doherty?
You can have side projects. I don't think, as long as, because that is like something they have in like their policies, like, hey, if you develop something on our machines, it's ours, you know. So just like use your own personal computers if you're ever working on stuff in the industry. Yeah, they like.
And then clearly you can't steal their clients, right? You can't.
Correct. Yeah, like there's very strict things that they have to they have in their policies on stuff, but they actually want you working on projects. They want you to they'll ask you during your yearly reviews, like, so are you working on any side projects? Do you have anything going on in your free time and stuff? So that's highly encouraged.
Awesome. Good question. Other questions? Favorite language was Java.
No, least favorite.
Least favorite language?
Probably out of the ones I've used, Scala. Scala was just like I had to work so hard to understand the simplest things. So if you can, avoid Scala.
There you go. Hey man, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. I think that's going to be a very valuable thing for my students to kind of just be able to see you and talk to you, and I know they appreciate it. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You're the man. Have a good rest of your day. Stay in touch.
Thanks so much. You
Okay.
guys have a good one.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.